right, guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Silhouette Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about the current state of H-Hour.
Woo!
Okay, so the first thing I think we should talk about is the critiques. I mean, so far, how we feel about from playing the beta and the alpha that just came out a week ago. I can say that, I mean, the game obviously has a lot of potential, and it's going to be great once they finish it, but it needs work.
Right now, it's still living on potential right now, and that's what kind of has me uneasy. I don't like that we're still looking. We still potential to me equates to hope, and I don't like that. I like to see the progress that has been had and some innovation things.
Well, I mean, a lot of things are right with the game, but there's a lot of things that are wrong, and it mostly comes down to just it being alpha. But there's like maybe 2 or 3 things that need to be changed that I don't know if they know about and that should be changed. Like I think getting hit from across the map, I don't know if that's like what they have in plan forever or what, but that needs to change.
That could be a good thing and a bad thing. It's good that you can touch somebody from that far. It's bad how quickly you die. Like, the bullets shouldn't carry as much kinetic energy from that far as they do up close. Now, that is, I think, because the game is it's not finished, of course. So that's going to be like a byproduct of the stage it's at. But at the same time, I like it, but I dislike it because it makes the map smaller than it has to be. Even Wolf Run. Wolf Run's very small. Like, every piece of cover gets used because... And, well, Sismus, too. Every cover has to be used because you have to basically get behind something as soon as you spawn. Or not leave your spawn like most tend to do.
Well, yeah, that plus the movement of the characters is the main thing, especially they haven't even added all the motion capturing yet. So the characters look all kind of goofy and toy soldier like. You're kind of move around the map like your torso is all tight and your neck doesn't move and you can't really see your gun when it's aiming. And that needs to be changed, obviously. And then the movement of the characters, just the speed overall. It takes forever to get across the map. It feels like you're just...
It does take too long, but the current state I'm okay with. I feel like it's headed in the right direction. I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is how the people perceive the game, how people are thinking of H-Hour and how they can interact with it and the future of it. And it's odd to me because I feel like it's not an entirely SOCOM crowd. Now, it might just be me. Maybe I'm just the last of the diehard SOCOMers. Like, I just will not give up, and I think that's an important perspective to have. So speaking on the current state, people need to realize most people will use that argument, well, it's not finished yet, so that's why it's this way. But I think that comes across as the pessimistic people as a cop-out because they don't elaborate, they don't explain, and there's not a discussion happening about it. So hopefully we'll make that discussion happen a lot more often here soon after this podcast. But the point I wanted to make is that people don't take that into consideration. They don't understand that there's something else to be said after you say this game is not finished. There's more to be said. Like, it's not that cut and dry.
I agree. I mean, obviously, from playing the game, I haven't had a chance to play it in its full potential yet because I've been playing with a deplorable graphics card, but I should be getting a new one soon here. Then I'll be able to...
soon, buddy.
Yeah. But I think, from what I've seen from other people's streams and you playing and how people can... I love how people can die fast. I think that's the way SOCOM should be, or HR should be.
Yeah, don't get me excited. Don't never change that. I love how fast you die. I just think that you should not be able to shoot across the map like that. Which I wouldn't even consider that a thing. That's not really something we can grab onto and say, look, this needs to be talked about because right now it's just a byproduct. It's not an actual feature. It's just.
Well, yeah, actually, I think that I don't know if they'll keep it in the game, shooting across the map, but the only reason why it seems like it's such a factor right now is because the maps are not completed and they're so wide open.
True.
Once they change that, once they actually finish the maps or, change them based on what people think, I think they'll probably end up doing that based on the forums and the polls they'll probably have in the future. Once they change the maps, then we don't really have to worry about getting shot from spawn to spawn. That's the main issue. I don't really care if you can shoot across the map. It's just you shouldn't be getting shot as soon as you spawn. That's ridiculous. There's no skill or strategy to that. If it doesn't have skill or strategy involved, it shouldn't be in the game, period.
Well, moving forward, if I had to say things that cause skill or strategy, it's going to be the people, not more so the game. That is the skill and strategy at this current stage, is shooting across the map with a mouse and keyboard, and right now mouse reigns king. But I told you last night, and I told Chaos last night, that's not always going to be the case. There will be an end to that. The controller will have it stay, because SOCOM and H-Hour are thinking man's games, and it's not going to play out that way. Aim and your quickness are not always going to be your strongest points. Your timing, your placement, your teamwork, your know-how, like all very, very subtle but extremely important skills. That's what's going to be what decides wins when the game's complete.
Yeah, I agree. I think when it comes to H-Hour, right now, of course you can tell who the good players are because of the consistency of getting kills and shit. That's obvious. You can tell who's going to be getting the kills that game when you're there. But
I don't think it's skilled though. I can't consider anyone good yet. I wouldn't consider anyone skilled yet unless I already know them and I know that what they can do in SOCOM. Any of the new people that I see, they earn no points with me.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters. I haven't actually had a real chance to play the game in its full potential because, like I said, I'm playing on low settings with a bottom-of-the-line graphics card. So, like, I have a mouse already. I just actually bought a new mouse, and I can feel, like, when it gets to that point, I'm going to be able to pull off some sick shit with it, but not at this moment for, like, another week or so.
One change that bothers me is I noticed that when on the kill scoreboard, you know, I noticed how that it was green for SOF, red for terrorists, and no matter which side you were on, it didn't change. It wasn't like a green is positive and red is negative. It was literally side specific, which I thought was dope. That was innovative. Those are the type of little small innovations that are going to set H-Hour apart from SOCOM and give it that evolution it needs. And I'm upset that they took it away. Now all the names are white, and you got to check your. I don't know about everyone else, but I got to check. I don't know these kids. You know, I'm used to playing with my clan, so I got to check my team to see, like, is that dude even on my team? Like,
that's another circumstantial thing, though. Like, when it comes to, we're only going to be playing with our clan when they're there, so we're always going to know who killed who at that point. But right now, yeah, I agree. If you're in a pubby room with just a couple of people you don't know, you have to always constantly check who picked up the bomb or who just died and where. And
I feel like all that stuff is circumstantial. I don't think they really mean that they want that taken care of. Do you? Do you think that that's what they're actually asking for, or they just don't know how to communicate? Like if I had to put out a message to SOF Studios, my message would be that you don't need to work on anything else but the character movement, the way that he feels like an extension of oneself, and that's going to be the bread and butter. That's going to be what decides, like, when people start actually having a personality to their style and gameplay, and when you can tell everybody apart.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think sometimes they don't even know what they're asking for. They just do because they, just want to say something, I guess. But I think that the game shouldn't, right now at this point, they shouldn't add anything new, like adding clan features or more maps. I think they should just work on what they have currently. That's the main issue I have with gaming companies. They try to rush everything. They try to listen to all the people that want everything now, and they listen to what they have to say, and they're like, oh, fuck, they want more maps? Boom, boom, boom. They put out all these maps, and they don't even have time. They didn't even complete the first ones they added.
That's my problem, is people want the whole game all at once, but I would rather. Let's break it down. What was SOCOM? The main part of it was the character movement and the how you feel when you're controlling the character. how everyone we all have the same abilities in game, but yet we all use them differently, and that's what was dope. That's what made the game dope. Sure, you could say it was the maps or these guns, or the names and the title and all this stuff, but really that's the main thing, was how the character felt like an extension of yourself. And if they can just translate that into H-Hour, that will be the basis, the foundation for everything else. Guarantee you, and I can speak for most SOCOMers, that will be the one thing we care about, that we cling to the most. Right there and then. That'll be when the game is decided is good or bad, is when we get that feeling. And the maps, no one cares. And I speak for a lot of SOCOM players on that. No one cares about the maps at this stage. We got 2 maps. Sure, we'd like more, but I think that's not important enough. It's not important enough to warrant more map making, or more map polishing for that matter. I think maps are secondary, whatever. They're out there right now. The character and how in the weapon mechanics, that should be the main focus entirely. That should be the focus. And when people realize that the game has all of a sudden just the next update or whatever, when it's there, then you'll start to see people flock in, because it'll be more interesting then, and it won't be such a spawn camp battle or spawn to spawn shooting right off the bat.
And I think the reason why I saw a post the other day, and today I've been looking at the forums, and they people are making fun of that there's not that many people playing HR right now. It's like at the most they've seen like 100 at one time. And I think
that kind of worried me at first.
And it's because either those 100 people that one day, and it hasn't even happened since then, but the people that are playing the game, they're true SOCOM fans, and they want to play it, and they want it to be good. And the other people are just like, I don't even want to play this. This sucks.
That pessimism it's just annoying. It's like flies and mosquitoes at a picnic. Just go away.
Well, you can understand why they feel that way, though, because the game, what they have so far, they have so little, and that isn't even completed yet.
I understand it, but it needs to be shaped, sharpened, and redirected. It needs to come in a different form rather than just pure pessimism and negativity. All the things that I've heard or seen, or just read and kind of thought about they're things that have been beat to death. The horse has been dead. It's been beaten to death. We're way past it. And I think people need to realize SOCOM is our last shot. I mean, H-Hour is our last shot to live that experience. It's the last one. So the more, gasoline that you throw on the fire, the more stones you throw at this very fragile glass house, you're fucking something up that you're never given a chance to grow anyway. This is essentially the seed to the tree of SOCOM that we're trying to get. You got to let the thing grow.
I understand that, but I think we can believe all we want to and pray and everything, but they got to do it still. They got to actually capitalize on what we say, our criticism and our advice and all that. They need to actually listen to it and be like, these are the SOCOM fans. They know what they're talking about. Let's just do it. Like, they have all the knowledge they can ever get on the forums. Like, all they got to do, if they don't know what to do on a certain thing or a certain map, go back to the website and look. Like, you don't have to be clueless. There shouldn't be one moment where SOF is like, what do we do? Because they have all the information.
I don't think there is, but I think people don't let them breathe a little bit. Let it come. Let it happen. Like you said, their information is out there, so why keep saying it? The conversation is old. It's
because they aren't listening, though.
Explain to me how they're not listening.
Because nobody would be complaining if there wasn't a problem.
What's the problem? What's the problem?
That there's only 2 maps and fucking like 2 weapons, and they're not even done. And it's been 2 years. I don't know what else to say.
Right, but I don't claim to understand the whole trajectory of how to develop a game from inception to complete product, but I will say that I do understand that there's probably a lot of pressure in the studio, and from our perspective it's like, what, we just want our fucking game. We don't really like sit back and understand the day-to-day little strifes that these people probably go through. Now, I'm not standing up for them. I don't care on either side. I have no stake in this whole outcome. All I care about is SOCOM. That's it. I don't care if the community, crashes and burns. If HR crashes and burns, that does mean SOCOM dies, so I have a stake in that. So that's, I guess, why I side with SOF Studios and HR, like as an entity, as one whole entity. That's kind of how I see it. It's not that I'm against my own community. It's that a mob mentality is not healthy or safe for anyone, because we know, it's understood. HR wouldn't even be a discussion right now. We wouldn't even have this podcast if we had SOCOM, first of all. Second of all, we wouldn't have this discussion if there was no need for SOCOM. So it's well understood that SOCOM, there is a demand for it. We're living it right now. It's in early access. And so what's there to talk about? Just let the game be built and give positive or negative feedback based on these updates. And that's what we're here to talk about now, is the damn updates. And I think you and I have already said my feeling is kind of negative after this last update. It was all positive before that. This last update, I'm not really too into it. It was said that there was a lot of stability issues fixed. I see stability issues created.
Yeah, from what I can't really be a major judge of that, but yeah, I believe you. I think it's probably was better
I'll give
before.
I'll give examples. The pings seemed okay earlier or before this last update. They seemed fine. Now everyone has pings in the hundreds or 200s, and it's goofy. Except yourself, of course. You'll be the one who's the lowest. So that's obviously off. I don't like how the names are all white now when you get a kill. The kill feed, the information scroll is all, everybody's white. You can't tell who's who or what's what. The satchel, I'll leave the satchel alone. That's fine. I don't see anything there. But I do notice that I get stuck on walls. Like if I'm brushing against a wall, I notice that now my character will stick unless I stop and then continue moving again. Then I can move away from the wall, which is quite aggravating, and it wasn't there before, which kind of is a full circle sort of thing, that it comes back around to what I was saying earlier. It's a little bit of that, if it's not broken, do not fix it mentality. Leave that alone. Let that be smooth. Let the maps stay how they are. Nobody's worried about that, and if they are, they don't understand SOCOM, because we need that character and the guns to feel a very specific way. And once you get that done, the rest of the game is cake.
We have maps are like, as long as you have the idea of what you want to do, that doesn't take very long. That's secondary. Like you said, it all comes down to SOCOM's all about character movement, how you feel when you're moving around, and how your guns shoot. That's the main issue, is they just need to focus on that instead of, we gotta fix the scoreboard.
Here's a really interesting idea I just had while you were talking. Thinking about maps, since you seem to be like a little bit more focused on that, what if you had a bunch of top tier players, at least the 8-on-8 constantly, or maybe 2 at the same time, and we're just analyzing these maps? Because here's a thought I've had while playing Wolf Run. Imagine yourself in the top of the rail house on Wolf Run, and that's the main barn that you can get upstairs in the center. For those that don't know, next to the satchel house, you're upstairs in this, facing down the railway, and to your right, I feel like there should be some sort of walkway or opening or something, maybe another window. I feel like there should be something there, and maybe that should be something that SOF Studios should implement, is like a little bit of a play test and suggestion, like innovation, like try to open up these maps or make them more dynamic, give them more routes and substance, because I feel like there's going to be only 1 or 2 ways to play Wolf Run and Sismus, and it's going to get it. Right now they're stalemate maps, partly because of lack of progression, but on the other half, it's their design. They're so open. It seems they're open at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is when not David Sears, but Russ Phillips said that every map is going to be influenced by S2, and S2 had really small kind of progressive like small building maps, and these maps are like wide range, and there's like
small's being the key word. What happened to small? Wolf Run it's kind of enormous as far as open space goes. Like if there was more clutter and whatnot, it would seem a lot smaller than it is, but seem is a good thing. Perception is everything, and when there's too much openness, you perceive this map as a huge open area, thus it restricts flow, not because you don't have anywhere to move, you have everywhere to move, but the perception is that if I go out there, I'm going to get shot, right? You're going to die needlessly.
Yeah, like one of the great things about confrontation is that when you spawned, you knew you had at least 10 seconds of cover. Like if you're rushing, obviously when you push out, you get to go to a certain area, and then you'll see it'll be your fault if you get shot out in the open because you went out in the open. That's just your lack of strategy, and
I missed that game.
That's your lack of strategy and awareness. So like if you in this game, it's like you spawn, oh, there's the other team. You like this, so like what's fun about that? That ain't strategical. That ain't SOCOM.
Yeah, okay, I understand. I understand what you're saying. It's basically like we're put in a cage, and it's like, all right, go at it, instead of actually striving to find the other team. They're just
that's
boom,
what
you
was,
spawn
that's
and you're
SOCOM,
face to face.
Yeah, that's what SOCOM's supposed to be. You spawn. All right, team, what are we gonna do? What do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, go left, do this, do that. We're gonna find him there. He might be there. Instead, on this game, it's like you spawn out
and just start shooting.
Yeah, it's not. I don't like that. They need to fix the maps. I don't know what they're thinking, or if it's just not completed, or they think that's a good map, but it ain't.
We can use my suggestion. Get some top tier players, and I don't mean the new people, because you got to prove yourself. You got to earn some stripes. But some of the top tier players, and if you don't know who those are, I can help you put a list together, even with people that are pessimistic. I know who's good.
We might not like everybody that plays the game, but we know who's the good players, and we can give them respect for that. And what we need to do is what you said, is get a group of players together, and if you have a new map coming out or whatever the third map is, get us together. Like, I don't care if you have to fly us out to the studios, or you want to get a private game together and we put them
it's not even necessary. We have Steam Early Access. Just make a private room or server or whatever with both maps, and then you'll get people in there just constantly playing day after day. And the goal is to make these maps make sense in a way that makes sense, to where each map is so dynamic and diverse, to where there's so many ways you can play it. I'll give a perfect example. One map that people love in SOCOM 2, and it carried on, is Crossroads. Well, it was the Public War tiebreaker map, because it was fairly equal, and there's many ways you can play that map, and that's what made it great. Another map in SOCOM 3 and Combined Assault was Citadel. Everyone loved that map because there's a lot of different playing styles and speeds you could use, and there's a reason that those maps are beloved, is because of that and because of the look. You know, like that sort of like street structure, a lot of structures, a lot of angles. People like angles, and in Wolf Run and Sismus, more so Wolf Run, obviously, there's not too many angles you can really use. It's more like hold left, center, right, and that's it.
Yeah, the reason why Crossroads is like such a memorable and legendary map is because of that. It's like a very well structured, colorful, and like memorable map. This map, Wolf Run or Sismus, is all right. They obviously need to change the spawns, or like add some more stuff to it, or change it up a little bit. But
speaking of spawns, wait, let me throw this out there. Speaking of spawns, why I noticed that every other round or every 3 rounds, sometimes every round, you change spawns. Have you noticed that? You'll spawn left, you'll spawn right. On Terrace, on Sismus. That is aggravating. I don't pick one. Which one is the spawn? It's either the left one or it's either the right one, and I think it should be the right side. But then again, terrorists, I don't know, then they would have to fight more. If it was the right side spawn only, they would have to fight more for the tower. and the church would just be a cakewalk take for the SOF side. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I think
One thing I'm trying to get at is just don't split up the forces. Wherever the spawn is, everyone should spawn there.
I think the main, speaking on like SOF and how they've been handling their stuff, and it ain't that big of a deal, but I think what they have to understand is the reason why, you know, people that have been talking in the community and making videos and stuff on and talking on Twitter that they're in outrage or they're upset right now is because they know that this game has to do well on PC, Steam.
It must.
To make it has to do well on that to make it to PS4, and PS4 is what everybody wants to play it on. That's where SOCOM's meant to be. And
that's
there's
also,
only
wait. That's also a reason why there's not a lot of numbers too. It's because the SOCOM community is a console community, and the people that are playing this are PC gamers. I can tell because they all use mouse, or a vast majority of them do.
Yeah, out of the 100 people that were on one night, which is embarrassing, 50 of them were probably 50 or more were PC players. Because most of the console gamers, like the old school players, you know, that have moved on and they're waiting, they're not going to get a PC just for this shit if they don't have one already, or at least a gaming PC that you seem to have to play it at the highest level. They don't want to spend the money, or they just don't want to buy it for one game if it's the only one they're ever going to play, and then they're going to switch to PS4. I think it was a mistake to put it on PC, but if that was the only way they could have done it, they kind of set themselves up for failure, because SOCOM ain't a PC game. It ain't part of a PC community, and for it to only have 100 people on in one day, that's the most ever. That's embarrassing.
I don't have a problem with it being on PC. That is embarrassing. I'll agree there. But I don't have a problem with it being on PC. I just have an issue with it being, I guess, for it to have its own like separate launch for PC is kind of odd to me. I don't, you know, if there's probably things that it could benefit from that, you know, opening up to the PC world is probably, or most definitely, a larger community than console, and people, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, like, because they're going to interpret what we call SOCOM differently than we are, because they just have different brains. They're just PC gamers, we're console gamers. Like, this is our livelihood when it comes to gaming. If you're like me, SOCOM is it is the bar. It is the game of games. It's everything else looks up to SOCOM. That's how I am, and I know there's people out there like that, and it'll always be that way for me.
I agree. That's how I feel. Like SOCOM is my game, and everything else is a branch from SOCOM, or I'll never love it as much as SOCOM. It'll always be that way. But I think another reason why maybe only 100 people were on one day, or that's the most they can muster up on one day, is because the game is $25 and there's only 2 maps, and those aren't even completed.
If you look at it that way, you're gonna purchase with that mindset. But the way I see it is, going to back what I said earlier, it's our last chance. This is the last ditch effort. H-Hour is it. It's that last shot that you get off, you know. I understand that, but I think one guy made an analogy earlier on the forums. He said, just because you want something really bad doesn't mean it's going to happen. Like, when they're shutting down the studios, we can't be in there pretending like they're still making the game. And I'm saying like that as like a metaphor, not that's actually going to happen. I'm just saying that was what he said, and it has to be successful because they had to do something. They're going to have to, like you said, they're going to freeze adding more stuff, and then just work on what they have currently. Like, add the fucking motion capturing already. That's the main thing. Make sure the characters are what they need to be. Right, characters and weapon mechanics. That's what I said.
Yeah, fuck everything else. Do you agree, though,
with what I said, how I said it?
Yeah, I don't think anything else matters at this point. Like, scoreboard, fucking look doesn't matter. Kill feed or...
True. So, I'm sure most people that listen to this video should agree. If you have any common sense or logic, you know, it should be common sense. We don't need 15 maps right now. That's a goal. That's something that we do want. It's like mandatory. We need a bunch of maps, but not at this point.
Because the whole meaning of Steam Early Access is to play the game as it's being made, and if they just like, all right, let's add all the maps, and then we'll go from the beginning to the end again and polish it from beginning to end. No, just polish what you have now, then move on. Polish that, move on. Polish that, move on. Instead of, okay, let's add all the maps, and then we'll fix them later.
No, yeah, that's a terrible idea.
As long as they don't do that, and they listen to what we're saying, and just fix the character movement and the gun mechanics first, then move on, and they fix the spawns or the maps and complete them so you can't get shot as soon as you spawn and be seen as soon as you spawn. That's pretty much it. Everything else, like if you look at pictures, for instance, here's a good example. When we all saw that picture of what HR looks like now, we all got boners because it looks like a SOCOM game. It looks like what we fantasized that it would look like.
It's headed in the right direction.
But then when you played it and you move your character around, it's like, oh, this is kind of ass because there's no mocap. Like it's just
but if you got, I don't know, that's why people make that. You're about to make me bust out laughing. Hold up, people have to understand that it is a Steam early access, right? And you can't pick up your mouse or your controller and then begin playing that and thinking you're gonna relive the old days. It's not gonna happen at this point. So those that are disappointed and end up spewing all this pessimistic negativity nonsense throughout the forums, Twitter, blogs, just general conversation, typing in the in-game, that's not what SOCOM needs, right? Like if we're gonna respect the craft, give it positivity, because positivity is what got it here. People clamoring and talking about SOCOM and like just loving the passion for the game is positivity, and that's why H-Hour is even here to begin with. Now, don't let you getting closer, steps and steps closer. We're way the hell closer than we were before like when confrontation ended.
Okay,
we're somewhere now.
I'm gonna speak about something too. There's a lot of people, and you know who you are, and I might respect you in some way or be friends or whatever, but you've said some things, and I don't agree with it because
me personally.
No, like people we've met and stuff, like in the community that have said negative things or have a negative light on the game, and I know this for a fact, and they can disagree or think I'm just making this up or what, but I know I'm smart enough to know how things work, and I know that if they didn't have some sort of negative view on Tom, or let's just say Tom was like viewed as like the nicest guy in the world and he was honest, and
HR would be awesome.
SOF is looked at as like great company and stuff, and then the game was the same exact way it is now. I don't think they'd say it's all sunshine and rainbows, but I think they'd be a little bit less negative about it. I think they'd be like criticizing, oh, we'll just wait and see, I don't like the way it is now, but we'll just wait, or I don't want to be like get my hopes up, but I'll play it. Instead, they're like on a war path. Like they got the pitchforks out and the flames, like roaming the streets, ready to burn down SOF. Like, you guys fucking suck. We hate how you guys are. This game's fucking ass. I guarantee you, if that didn't happen, like whatever they say is going on, they wouldn't be that way. So,
well, for me, I have no stake in it. Like I said, I don't care. I'm not gonna say anyone's shitty. I'm not gonna say anyone's awesome. I simply don't care.
All I care
about, yeah, that's all I care about. I just want SOCOM, and I will support that in all directions until it actually happens, until it becomes what it always should have been, and that is the esport. It should be the bar for shooters. I don't care what shooter you play, you're ass unless you're good in SOCOM. That's it. That's all there is to it. And there's a lot of people that feel that way.
So I think we should be cutting this podcast here right now, and the bottom line is, if you weren't paying attention this whole time, is that the game has potential. It looks like SOCOM. It has that feeling in a way, but they just need to fix what's there, and that main thing is the character movement and the gun mechanics. Fix the spawn a little bit with the maps, complete the maps, and just work on what they have so far instead of adding more stuff and trying to worry about like what the scoreboard looks like and all that other bullshit. Just fix the character moving, gun mechanics, and the spawns. Thank you very much.
Character feel, weapon mechanics. Right? All right, keep your pessimism, people. We'll be back.